Holy fuck, that episode was insane. I honestly had high expectations going in, but dear god did they deliver. The animation, the direction, the voice acting, the sound design, literally everything was peak. So without further ado, let's get into my anime-only analysis. We start off a bit after where we left off, as after Beatrice and Subaru used EMT, they shattered the facade of the barrier surrounding the tower. We move on to this excellent shot of the sand cascading onto Subaru's hand. The lighting here is wonderful. Rom then prods him so he wakes up, then moving into a jab with her characteristic coldness, which jumps him awake. We figure out that they're beneath the sand dunes, and there appears to be ruins surrounding them, likely from 400 years ago. Rom and Subaru were separated from the others, as when they fell, the surprise had made Subaru let go of Beatrice. But when he was able to analyze the situation, he grabbed the person closest to him. This does a pretty good job at showing his resourcefulness. When Subaru moves around, I love how the sand moves in these shots, and the way it sinks. It shows how it's rough to walk through, and builds up tension. I think this interaction here between Rom and Subaru is excellent. Subaru, in the moment, thinks he's alone in his care for Rem, calling back to scenes from Season 2 where Rom shows that she does not care for her, at least not nearly as much as she did before she was forgotten. This is likely what put these sorts of thoughts in Subaru's head. Rom does genuinely care for her sister, and when Subaru shows that she thinks she doesn't, it pisses her off. I think this scene is an excellent use of Subaru's thoughts and memories, while also greatly characterizing Rom. Rom isn't outwardly expressive of her love most of the time, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have it. After Subaru realizes his transgression, he shows humility and genuineness, with Rom expectedly and reasonably biting back with saying that it's Subaru's usual brashness. Once Aridna and Patricia arrive, we complete Subaru's group in the ruin. Subaru continues to call her Anastasia because at this point only him and Beatrice know about Aridna. Funnily enough, Subaru points out how combat incapable this group is. But that doesn't stop what happens later. Moving on past the intro, the show continues to deliver with interesting shots of the team moving through the cave. Rom mentions the possibility of contacting lesser spirits, however, Subaru reveals that he can't, characterizing Subaru and Beatrice's bond further. Their connection is so strong that lesser spirits are afraid of it. This is contrasted with Emilia and Puck's bond, as even though their connection is strong, Emilia was still able to contact lesser spirits for guidance. This could also hint or say something about Beatrice's jealousy, wanting their connection to be Subaru's sole one. Aridna here gives us some more insight into Rom's true feelings about Rem. Even though she can't even remember her, we're shown just how much care she has in her heart. Adventuring to the Pleiades watchtower is probably, from the character's perspective, one of the most deadly journeys one could go on, and despite that, she moves forward. Aridna also shows this connection that Rom and Subaru have, especially in their care for Rem. I hadn't brought this up because it was more of a thought piece with Season 2, but I genuinely wonder how the events of Arc 2 and Arc 3 played out from Rom's perspective. However, even despite this, I still believe that Rom would have these feelings regardless. The group reaches a crossroads, and in typical Subaru fashion, he mentions random knowledge about Freud and behavioral studies. While Freud opened the field of psychology, he made shit up pretty much 90% of the time, so I think it was a pretty bad decision here to go with Freud, but it's not like anyone would have known which path to choose. The show brings in this quite unsettling music, as it shows the characters slowly moving through the cave. Again, building up strong tension. The group then reaches an impasse, but it was seemingly easy to clear. We're then given a bit of foreshadowing as Patricia growls before they move past where the door was. Subaru makes this funny-ass comment about preferring to be the one that's whipped. Then Rom calls him gross. The group moves further down the path, but they grow sluggish. We gain further insights from Aridna, proposing that these doors might be there to keep something in, rather than keeping people out. The repetition of the shots of Subaru's boots in the sand just fills me with unease. Harsh, grating sounds play as the group moves on. Subaru talks about his exhaustion, but neither Rom nor Aridna pay any notice. We're then shown how the entire group is on edge. Subaru then irrationally throws his water skin out of frustration. The pacing of the show here is great, and these shots are very creative. The party then reaches this final door, which does not let them pass. It looks a bit different from the others, as it has these grooves on the edges. We're then shown Subaru's anger, slamming his fist and foot against the door. Subaru then bursts out in a rage at Ram's constant clicking. We get shown a lot of these disgusting but well-drawn images of Subaru's rage, as he and Ram argue. We've seen this shot from the trailer, but seeing this in context makes it all the more cool. Subaru then uses Invisible Providence to slam Ram against the ground. This scene is done so well. I like the way they use shadows here. The struggling here is terrifying and so animalistic. Ram reaches for her wand and blasts them away from each other, and the lighting turns to this eerie blue static. Ram and Subaru then square up for a fight, but then she is stabbed from behind with a blade by Aridna, speaking with a calculated voice. The juxtaposition here is kind of insane with Aridna's expressions, especially given what she had just done. Would it be kind of odd to say that she looks cute here? They do these squash and stretch animations, with her hiding her blade behind her back, and I think this just makes the scene even more crazy. They both front cooperation, with them both intending to betray each other, and it looks insanely creepy. Ram then uses her wind magic to cleave Aridna in two, and the contrast of lighting here is used to show the suddenness of the scene. This is absolutely one of the most gruesome things we've seen from the show. It's disgusting as Aridna's bottom collapses towards the ground. Aridna then remains holding on to Subaru's body as her intestines pour out. Subaru here thought she would have already been dead and is shocked by this. This one part of her intestine standing up as it's seemingly still attached to her is horrifying. Yusuke Kobayashi here and all the other voice actors certainly have outdone themselves. Same with Sean Chiplock and others for the English dub. We see the bloodied fox that's Aridna's actual body, as Subaru screams for Aridna to let him go. Expressions here are terrifying, and this brutal struggle between her and Subaru with him pulling at her hair and lobbing her half-dead corpse towards the ground. The fact that she's still alive a bit after that is an awful thing to think about. We get this crazed expression on Subaru before he vomits off to the side. Subaru lied as Pachache, affected by the miasma, feasts on Ram's corpse. The crunching here is so visceral. We even see a bit of her hair protruding out of Pachache's mouth. The stickiness of her mouth opening here is abhorrent. I don't know if you caught it, but Ram's eyeball is seen in her mouth right before she lunges at Subaru, ending him swiftly. My god, there is so much to unpack in this scene alone. I love the variety of ways we see the characters react to the miasma. Subaru's rash yelling, Aridna's cold and calculating decisions, and Ram's venomous anger and clicking. Even at the most animalistic and vicious moments, I don't even believe Subaru wanted to kill Ram here, especially after he stopped when she stopped struggling. Aridna's bubbliness after stabbing Rem was so crazy, and the fact that Ram fully well could have killed Subaru in that moment as well, but deciding to only kill Aridna, who is planning on killing Subaru. It's kind of horrifying to think about. And this is just me throwing something out there, but what if, after Aridna was cut in half with her fox scarf, that it was actually Anastasia in that moment? Again, I don't really have too much of a basis for this thought, but since it's something even more awful, I feel like it's something Tape would do in all of his wickedness. I get that it's because of the miasma, but the localization of Subaru saying this word still kind of hurts. Apart from the bunnies, this is definitely one of the most brutal deaths of them all. And again, rather than being a few days back, his return by death only sent him back an hour or so. Return by death isn't something automatic, it is something being willfully done by an outside entity. So I find this very interesting. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I recommend subscribing. We do loads of free Zero content, so you should check out our other videos afterwards. Subaru, right after waking up, wants to puke, and Ram helps him do so. I wouldn't like to think of Subaru getting a grip here faster as him recovering faster. Of course, in the anime, we've seen scenes of him being scarred for much longer, but with Ram helping him and the urgency of the situation, it just isn't the right time to let everything out, which is harmful in the long run, but helps him stand back up in the moment. I would like to see more of Subaru's thoughts in that moment, and I know I have to go to the novels for that. We then get a short explanation of miasma and how it taints the mind and soul, entering the body through their gates, and the only solution for it is to avoid it. I think with a lot of these shots we get shown Subaru's thought processes, from a more show and tell type, his gaze casted towards the lantern, reminding him of what happened, and his downward gaze over here. He reaches the crossroad and is disgusted. As Ram and Aridna point out, he's not acting like himself, perhaps sort of a guilt for what happened. Subaru then rushes ahead of the others, maybe to prevent the same fate as before. The sand then consumes him as he falls towards the pit, with corpses and skeletons of mobbies. Then he sees this being that can only really be described as a boss in its arena. It has this piercing screech, and it carries 2 lances and shoots fire through its mouth and its chest. We get this nice rotating shot of Subaru running from the blast of fire, and we're shown how imposing this being is as it attempts to crush Subaru with its lance. Ram then moves to his side to help him as they both engage the beast. Ram leaps in front of Subaru to shield him from the beast's attack, and after they land, Ram continues to stand between Subaru and the monster to protect him, with Subaru asking why. We get this desperate look on Subaru's face as he wants to stand and protect Ram from the attack. I believe this loop offers us some very important contrast between how these characters acted here and with the miasma. Ram is extremely selfless, stating that Rem would cry, and showing her care for Subaru and willingness to help him. These scenes characterize Subaru and Ram further, while the miasma scene shows the utter depths of insanity and raw survival instincts. Ram and Subaru here boldly show that the miasma scene did not define their character, but it just defined how corrupting the miasma was. Even with the line of Subaru claiming that Pachache was a vegetarian reinforces that. I think even in this scene here, Subaru is thinking about what happened in the last loop, and the emotional whiplash of these events happening so close together. The daunting mob beast is then quickly defeated by the sniper, who claims, "I found you again," like the ending of the last episode. We also get our first look at the new ending, and I'll provide more of my thoughts on that later, but I think it's good. Not as good as some of the other ones we've had before. Overall, that episode was definitely one of the best ones in the season we've seen so far. When I first watched the miasma scene, I was actually shaking, and my arms felt numb. That shit was scary as hell. ReZero just does such a good job with its horror and violence. It's pretty much unmatched. If I had to give it a ReZero rating, I would say it's a 9.5 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend subscribing, liking, commenting, and hyping up the video. It really helps us out. If you'd like, you're welcome to stick around for more, as I'm doing these videos weekly as ReZero Season 4 comes out. This is my favorite show of all time, and if you would like to see more of my opinions or thoughts, stay tuned for more.